You're watching Final Score with Wes Moore on Fox 16.
It's been a couple years, but we're bringing it back. We're excited to have our high school football breakdown segment. We welcome in Scooter Register as our new high school football analyst. Coach, welcome aboard. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Definitely excited to talk high school football with you throughout this season. Let's get right into it. Let's start with Cabot taking down Pine Bluff in a game that featured two new head coaches for both programs.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Rod Stinson for Pine Bluff, and this is really his second gig as head coach. He started out at Little Rock Hall, but Rod's a really fine young man, and he's going to do a great job at Pine Bluff. And, you know, taking on Scott Reed and Cabot, that was a monumental task for him. But the game started out pretty well for Pine Bluff, and I think I watched Pine Bluff play Parkview in a scrimmage here in Little Rock a couple weeks ago, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw from Pine Bluff. Well organized, and but, you know, Cabot, a solid program, and now they got a new leader, and so they're throwing football a little bit. So it was an exciting night at Pine Bluff.
I was going to say, that's probably the thing that stood out to me the most about being at that game is that they go from the dead tee to the spread, and the offense was clicking, especially in that second half for Cabot. Scott Reed, you know, not wasting a lot of time changing that offense and getting results out of his offense.
No, that's true, you know, and his quarterback was, I think, 11 of 17 and threw for 135 yards and 3 touchdowns. So probably been a long time since there's been a quarterback from Cabot with those kind of statistics. But just listening to the post game with Coach Reed, he was extremely pleased with his team, and he was really about the effort they gave. And I tell you, the one thing that he was impressed with was his special teams. He said they won every phase of the kicking game. Of course, I think you were at that game, and you probably witnessed that. But he's a great coach. He's going to do a great job at Cabot.
I agree. I think he'll do a fantastic job with that program. All right, let's go across the river, talk about North Little Rock going up against Whitehaven. Their regular season undefeated winning streak was snapped on Friday night.
Yeah, looking at that game, I know that probably the one good thing that I talk about is the sun did come up yesterday morning, but it's probably going to be a long weekend in North Little Rock. But I will say this about Coach Mitchell. When he came here, I really got to know him, and he's a great guy, and he's got a lot of old school in him. But he's going to get that program where it is, and you know, I don't know what the situation is with his quarterback. I only read in the paper that that the quarterback didn't play, but if you read, the information I got is that North Little Rock played really well on defense, but they were up a very talented Whitehaven team. So, but I look for North Little Rock, even though they got to go on the road. They got to go to Baton Rouge. That's football country. They're going to play a strong Catholic program down there this week. But I look for them to play a lot better this week.
You never count out North Little Rock. Still one of the favorites, obviously, to make it to War Memorial in the 7A. All right, how about Catholic with a runaway win over Sylvan Hills?
Yeah, you know, I was a little concerned about Catholic last week going to Jonesboro because I've been hearing all this hype about Jonesboro, and Jonesboro's got an outstanding football team. But Catholic was driving with a chance to go ahead late in that game, and it just didn't happen. But they had several kids that were injured in that Jonesboro game. So I think this Sylvan Hills game was really kind of a Coach Fogelman wanted to get some young guys in the game, and as it turned out, he got the mercy rule. It really 35-0 at half. He got to play a lot of his young kids, so he got to avoid injuries from any of his starters that he had to play. I think, and normally you would do that. You'll play your starters one series and then get them out. So that's what he did. But it's a big win for Catholic. This week they go to Jacksonville and probably got a chance in that ball game if things go well to end up 2-1 and have a week off before conference starts.
In Saline County, a matchup of two programs who played in state championship games last year. Arkadelphia, two-time defending 4A state champs, taking down Benton, who played for the 6A title last year.
Yeah, the tables are kind of turned. Right now, this time last year, Arkadelphia was 0-2 and Benton was 2-0. And Arkadelphia turned their program around. They actually were 0-5 and then won 10 in a row. So, but that was a big matchup. In fact, Arkadelphia had to come from behind, and I think they scored 20 unanswered points. It was like 14-13 at half. Benton scored, make it 20-13, and then Arkadelphia scored 20 unanswered points. But Arkadelphia is a very talented team. They're well coached, and like you said, they've won two back-to-back state championships, and I look for them to be strong contender again in that league.
I still can't believe what happened last year. You mentioned before 0-5 to start the season. They go on to win another 4A state championship. J.R. Eldridge, man, he's been having a heck of the last couple of years down in Arkadelphia.
Really smart, well-organized coach who players really believe in him, and they do a lot of things together. Team-wise, they're involved in the community, so the cohesiveness is there. And, I really look for him to have a fantastic year.
All right, let's go to a program you're pretty familiar with, Little Rock Central, blowing out Rogers Heritage. The Tigers now 2-0. Kent Laster doing a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, Coach came in last year, and, he just visiting with him. He's the kind of guy that likes to put up a lot of points, and, he said he'd like to score 60 a game. Well, he got that this week and scored 62 points. Samuel Franklin, who's really his go-to guy right now, had another fantastic night. I think he scored 3 touchdowns. So they've got some momentum. I feel like they've got to go on the road to play Rogers, which scored 58 points against Joe T this week. So that could be a big shootout in Northwest Arkansas. But Central's playing well right now, and they go on the road. If they could get a win, they could be 3-0. And then he'll have a week off before he faces North Little Rock.
I know it's
conference.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off there. What are some of the biggest differences you see with this Central team? I believe 1-8 last season, a 2-0 start. I know it's only 2 games into the season, but what have you seen kind of the main differences between this program from last year to this year so far?
Well, last year, anytime a new coach comes in, he had to, get his identity out there. The players had to learn what he wanted to do, and he had to put a staff together. There are 2 or 3 holdovers from my staff, but basically he's got a new staff, so a new system, and it's just a little different. But the guys have apparently have bought into what he wants to do, and Samuel Franklin was a freshman my last year there, and he's a great kid. He works hard. He's got all the skills to be a great running back, and they got a good quarterback, and they've got some good receivers. I know he had I don't know the young man, but a sophomore kid caught a touchdown pass the other night. But they've got speed, and they've just kind of bought into what he wants to do. So he's got to get through this next conference game and then have that week off and then get ready for the conference. And, as you all know, that 7A Central is really tough.
No question about that. All right, let's wrap it up with Little Rock Hall taking down J.A. Fair in, I believe, the last ever meeting between the 2 programs.
Yes, it will be because Fair is going to close.
Yep.
We've got the new Southwest High School that will be opening up next year. So really it would be the last game. And let me interject this. Next year, Hall will open week 1 with Little Rock Central. So we're going to have the Battle of the Bell again.
Oh, nice.
And so Parkview will play the new Southwest High School in week 1. So, but two teams that have been struggling met on Friday at J.A. Fair. And, shouts out to Coach Van Hoos and the Little Rock Hall Warriors for a big win. And, they've got he's got about 35 players out. And I think we're going to see them. They've got Mills and Jacksonville left, so they've got a chance in those 2 ball games. So maybe we can see the Warriors step it up a little bit this year.
All right, we got about a minute remaining. I'll ask you this really quickly. If you had to pick out maybe 2 or 3 of your best performances of this week 1, what would you say if you had a couple players? Well,
I'm going to say Sam Franklin at Central won. 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had he caught passes for 54 yards and a touchdown. And I think Tyler G., who from Cabot, the quarterback from Cabot, which you probably saw the game, was impressed with his statistics. 11 of 17, 135 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Coach Reed is real high on him. He says has great pocket awareness, and also he's just a great leader. So, and he's also a junior. So I think those 2 from that I would pick out.
Coach, really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking with you the rest of the season.
Okay.
All right, stick around. Much more Final Score with Wes Moore when we come back.